Thank you. Those of you who know me even moderately well know how hard this is for me. I am honored by those of you who have come, my church family, my various churches families. Grateful for that. For those who have come back to campus, having graduated years ago and made a trip to be here today. For my colleagues in the department, school, division, whatever we are this year of theology, I'm really grateful for you to be here. Of course, those of you who do know me well know that I would have preferred to be honored had you just stayed home. But there we are. It doesn't escape me that on this, my last chapel here in this formal condition, I hope they'll have me back every once in a while, that it is juxtaposed with April Fool's Day. And I think that may actually have been strategic. Because that's, don't you just feel that sometimes when you hang out with Jesus? It's like he knows stuff that I don't have, what? Anybody have some sympathy for Judas? For Peter? It's like he keeps talking and I have not a clue. I know all of the words, but the ways that he's putting them together make no sense. Make no sense. And of course, Jesus does that deliberately. He does it because he will not be understood from outside. He will only be understood by those who follow. He's an oddity from the outside, but from the inside, he's life. As you set, that's why I think he's the way before he's the truth. Follow in the way of Jesus, and you discover then the truth that he is. Today is Spy Wednesday. Usually John Mark is the assigned preacher for Spy Wednesday, the day in which Judas had enough and thought perhaps he saw the fire in Jesus' eyes on Sunday. Palm Sunday, went into the temple, cleansed it. I think he saw the fire in Jesus' eyes and thought, there's something there that we can catalyze. And maybe by betraying him, putting him in a corner, we would finally get the sword that we have all believed he's capable of wielding. When it didn't go that way, of course, Judas tapped out, heartbroken, remorseful, repentant even, and sadly didn't stay around for the hug on Sunday. But he's not alone, is he? I mean, here we are. Sunday was just a massive disappointment as Jesus rode into town on a beast of burden and didn't go to the Roman garrison, instead went to the temple and didn't encourage us in following him. He made way for people that are the outsiders, the Gentiles, to pray. Children, lame, blind, came to him in those spaces and were met by him. And you can understand the folks whose task it is to keep track of religious propriety, who are certain in their being right and then have been deputized to maintain the order so that the kingdom, as we understand it, can go forward. How upsetting Jesus was to the systems. And nobody was more upset. I think in this last week, I don't think anybody was more upset than the group that had tracked with him, followed him for these 2 and 3 years. Do you think? I mean, remember, on their way into Jerusalem, they had been arguing which of them was the greatest. on the way into the dinner that we'll look at tonight, they had been still continuing that argument. Apparently, this was a live topic of conversation that surfaced every time they sat down. It was like, I think I know who it is. I think I know who it is. And I think it's me. Just nothing on the rest of y'all, but I think it might be me. You know? Because we know for sure it's not James and John, because he dissed them. But, you know, maybe. Their egos, their insecurities, their certainties would turn them against one another. And this is what, if I can use this language carefully, this is what concerned Jesus the most. Within 12 hours, he will be dead. He's going to hand over his mission to save the world to these 12 men. Half of them are going to be dead in 5 years. And the other half, I mean, would you trust them to walk your dog across the street? I mean, it's like, really? This is the best and you prayed before you selected them? This is what discernment looks like? I mean, let's draw lots. That has a better chance of getting it close, right? And his biggest concern was that they would turn against one another. Over and over and over again in 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You know what he says? Love one another. You didn't write that down. Love one another. No, I'm serious. Get this tattooed somewhere. Love one another. And in the event that you're unclear on what that means, as I have loved you. That's how I want you to love one another. One another. One another. And so here he is. They are gathered in. They have been fighting over which of them is the greatest. So much so that when they finally gathered for dinner that night, not a single one of them thought to take the lowest role, to stoop to wash the feet of the others. Not a single one of them thought to do that. And when I say them, I mean me. So, verse 1, John 13. When the feast of Passover had come, before that feast of Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour had come, that he would depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During supper, the devil already having put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, knowing that he had come forth from God and was going back to God, got up from supper, laid aside his garments, and took a towel. He girded himself. Then he poured water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. He came finally to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, "What I do, you do not realize now, but you'll understand later." Peter said, "Never shall you wash my feet." Jesus answered, "If I don't wash you, you have no part with me." Simon Peter said to him, well, then, Lord, wash not only my feet, but also my hands and my head. And Jesus said to him, "He who is bathed needs only to wash his feet. He's completely clean. You are clean, but not all of you." He knew the one who was betraying him. For this reason, he said, "Not all of you are clean." So, when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and reclined at the table again, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right. That's what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. I give you an example so that you should do as I did to you. Truly, I say, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is one who is sent greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. Did you notice how John manages time? The first roughly 3 years of Jesus' ministry occupy the first half of the gospel. And this is true of the synoptics as well. So we're trucking. We're blitzing back and forth. We're Jerusalem, back up to the north. 3 years in 12 or 13 chapters. And then we get the last half of the Gospel of John covering 1 week. I mean, it's like somebody put on the brakes and said, now, y'all, slow down. You don't want to miss a single moment of this. And then the last day of Jesus' life comprises the last half of the last half. So we are just on slow speed. You can't watch this video at 1.5 times. He won't let you. You have to take your time. And it is driving everybody nuts because they know something's happening. They're not clueless. They're aware. We're riding into Jerusalem. Thousands of people are yelling who Jesus is to them. Can you imagine how solid you have to be in your identity not to be pushed off message by tens of thousands of people telling you who you are to them? And to let it fade into silence because you've heard the one voice that matters, who has declared who you are. That's how he comes into dinner this night. He knows who he is. He knows where he came from. He knows where he's going. He has not a scintilla of, where did that word come from? I love that word. That's a good word. Not a speck of doubt about who he is. Please notice when he takes the towel is how his identity expresses itself. It's not his identity. When you know who you are, you can take the lowest place without loss of identity. It doesn't matter what people think of you because you know what is deeply true of you. Right? So here he is. He's in this place and he has heard the gossip. He's heard the rumor. In fact, he's already asked them, what were you guys talking about on the way in? Nothing. So he knows. And so as the dinner unfolds, you know this story well enough. Satan has already, and by the way, I don't think this means Judas is possessed. I think it's very much like what happened to Peter, Matthew 16, where he served in an adversarial role. He's pushing back against who Jesus is going to be. It's really annoying when Jesus insists on saving you the way you need to be saved rather than the way you'd prefer to be saved. Right? Because we're all the Satan at some time. We all push back. And so here he is in this moment, and Judas has discerned, has sensed that this is the time. This is the time. And he's waiting for an opportunity. And I love how, if we continue the story, it's Jesus who sets it in motion. Such that I can't help but wonder if Judas thought Jesus might actually be implicitly complicit. Because once you believe that you're heading in the right track, getting the right thing done for the right reason, you can make everything that happens fit into your conspiracy theory. Yeah? So I don't know if that's what's going on or not. John doesn't give us a whole lot to go on there. But Jesus, in the middle of all of this, knowing all of this, gets up from dinner, and it's one of those scenes in the movie, you know, it's like kind of this buzz going on, right? And then you hear the scrape of the chair. You hear the rustle of a robe being left on the ground. You hear the bump of the basin as he picks it up. You hear the splash of the water. Notice how John is just forcing our attention into the little details. Pay attention. And can't you feel the tension building in the room? As the silence thickens and what's he doing? What's he doing? What? And then he stoops. He takes off his robe. He wraps the towel. He stoops. And as an expression of his identity as the beloved Son of the Father, he bends his knee to you and washes your feet. Not losing 1 ounce of who he was, expressing it fully in his serving of you, in his serving of them. And you know the response, absolute stillness as he shuffles, crawling, pushing the basin from chair to chair, unlatching the sandals, taking the feet and dipping them in the water, getting his hands around. They will live the rest of their life with the feel of Jesus' hands on their feet. Including Judas, who in moments will, on those same feet, walk out to betray him. He finally gets to Peter, who, thank God for Peter, because he says what the rest of us are thinking, yeah? What the heck do you think you're doing? I love how even in this most sacred of moments, Peter is just, they've been through a lot, yeah? This is a friendship that is not born out of hiding from one another. They go at one another. You feel it, don't you? And so Peter takes it on himself, maybe the lead disciple. What are you doing? Are you going to wash my feet? No way in all the way. Now, why? Well, first of all, I think Peter realizes, oh, wait, we've overstepped. But then, even though Peter sometimes comes off like a fool, he's not stupid. He knows who he is. He's a disciple of Jesus. So he knows where this train stops. If Jesus is washing my feet, guess what that means? Guess what that requires from me? Guess what my new job description is likely to become? So he starts to push back. You're not going to wash my feet. And Jesus says something really, if I don't wash your feet, you have no part with me. Notice what he says. If you don't let me serve you, you have no part of me. If you don't let me serve you, you have no part of me. We want him so much to be Lord. We want him so much to be sacrificed. We want him so much to be lamb slain. You go, Jesus! And what he wants to do most of all is serve you to death and to the life that's on the other side of that death. And we resist it because we recognize, oh, wait, I'm his disciple. Guess what that means for me? And of course, Peter tries to laugh it off. He tries to turn it into a joke. Anybody have one of those awkward friends who's caught out and tries to spin it a little bit? Okay, fine. My head and my hands too, everything. Let's do this, big boy. If you're okay. I love him. Yeah? And so here they make their way. They make their way around the table in the silence. James, John, Peter, Andrew, all of the rest. And then Jesus looks at them and watch his eyes. Now, watch his eyes. Do you know what I've done to you? Not for you. Do you know what I've done to you? I've just ruined your lives. I've just invited you into the fellowship of the basin and the towel. These are the weapons of your warfare. These are the armaments of the rest of your ministerial life. And then he doubles down. You know who I am. Teacher, Lord. You're right. That's who I am. He's by the way, his identity is expressed as teacher. Teacher is not who he is. Teacher is how who he is gets expressed. Teacher, Lord, is how who he is gets expressed. This is really important, and you guys know if you've been with me for 10 or 15 minutes how important identity anchored in the voice from the heavens is. Once you've got that word ringing in your ear, you can bend to the service of the lowest of the low, and you can ascend to the ministry of the highest of the highs, and you're never going to be off balance because you know who you are in him. Yeah? When Pastor Cody knew when we were talking about this service, he said, you know, you could just preach on whatever you want. And I appreciate that. But I can't think of anything I want to preach on more than this. Because we have the same concern in our current cultural moment, don't we? And I'm not sure we're winning the battle. So he says to us, sitting around the table, are we leaving? Hey, how are you? His folks were in my church in Glendora bunches of years ago. Anyway, I'm going to get you out of here in time, but bear with me. If you call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, if you take that seriously and I've washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. I've given you this example, not so you can Instagram the moment, not so you can turn it into a meme, but so that you can do what I've done. So you can do what I've done. I've given you this example. You want to be blessed? Do them. I love how Jesus knows us so well. There is nowhere you can hide from this. He's put the cookies on the bottom shelf. He's taken them out of the package, and he is handing them to you. You want to be blessed? Do this. Do this. When the world looks in on the community formed by those 12 and the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, since then, here's what I want them to say about them. Look, those people love one another. They disagree about all kinds of important things, or things that they think are important. But at the end, underneath all of their disagreements, they love one another. How do you know? Because they bend their knee at the feet of even those who would betray them, and even those who would deny them, and they wash their feet. Remember what Peter said under the inquisition of a 16-year-old servant girl over a charcoal fire a couple hours later? I never knew him. I think Peter was speaking as true a word as he has ever spoken. This moment convinced him that Jesus was either a fool or perhaps who he actually said he was. This moment invites us into this space where we realize, oh wait, Jesus is going down our up escalator, and he's descending into greatness. He invites us to join him in the descent. This whole week from Palm Sunday on has been this downward spiral that will end finally at the end of Friday in the pit of hell. And he says, y'all, come on with me. This week isn't about watching Jesus die so that we don't have to. It's about watching Jesus die so that we know how to. so that we know how to follow him, so that we know how to take off the markings of our identity that ought simply be expressions, and wrapping around the robe of a servant and serving others wisely and well. We are never more like Jesus than when we kneel to serve. Never closer to Jesus than when we bend our knee to serve. And here's the deal. There are people gathered in the room that night whose names you still know 2,000 years later. You want to talk legacy? Not a single one of them have names that are known by their great exploits. The reason you know their names is because they finally took him seriously and began to serve. Let's pray. Oh Lord, sitting in this room this morning are women and men, should you tarry, whose names will be recognized and known tens of thousands of years from now. Not because of their notoriety, not because of their celebrity, not because of the big splashes they have made. Principalities and powers will know their name because they pushed back the darkness one foot washing at a time. I pray that you would give us courage to follow you, to learn our lives from you, to love one another as you have loved us. Amen. God bless you guys.